5 mixing tips that you need to use in your sessions. Let's get to work.
Jimmy, make music.
The first tip is actually one of the more important ones, and it's the start of every session. It's your recording. Make sure that you have optimal levels set for your instruments. In short, it's called gain staging. Gain staging is when you're setting an optimal audio level for the next processor. In other words, you really want to get like a fat wave that you can see in your DAW without any room noise. Things that can make noises in your recording, you want to try to minimize as much as possible. Number 2, use a reference track. So if there's a certain type of sound or feel you're looking for in your mix, use a record that has that similar type of sound and feel, and try to make your mix emulate the other mix. Number 3, don't be scared of reverb or delay. This opens things up in the mix. Imagine my hand's the sound, and you add some reverb to it. What it's going to do is spread that sound out to air out your mix and let other sounds shine through. You just don't want your reverb to go over another sound's reverb, and that might get muddy. Tip number 4, use multiple EQs on each sound, not just in your mastering. When you master, you definitely want at least 2. When you're mixing, you can use that same practice, maybe not so many, but play around with different EQs inside your DAW. They all do different things. Don't just default to the regular 5-band EQ like this one here. Even have them open all at the same time. And do play around with them as much as you need to. And play around with them as much as you can to get that clarity or particular sound you're looking for. More than one EQ. Tip number 5. We're on 5 already? This is going to be more than 5. We're doing a bonus tip. While you're mixing, change the volume of your output. It's pretty much standard practice that mixing around 85 to 90 dBs hits the sweet spot for most mixing practices, but you don't have to stay there, and you shouldn't. If you're listening at 80 decibels or above for any prolonged amount of time, you're going to do damage to your ears. So, not just for the sake of saving your hearing, but you'll also hear different things in the mix. When you change levels, especially getting lower, it gives presence to sounds you didn't hear before. I recommend getting a decibel reader in your studio or use the one on your watch. Something not just to keep your ears safe, but so you have a reference to what sounds like what at certain levels. This practice is similar to listening to it in a different setting. So if you finish your mix, you want to check it in your car speakers, in your home speakers, on your phone, on your girlfriend's phone, different headphones. You get the idea. Same principle. So change the levels as you're mixing, but listen critically and make changes while you're listening to your mix in that 85 to 90 dB range. A side note is to check your mix in mono. Don't just listen to everything in stereo, because there are a lot of sources that your music will play on that only output in mono. And that will bring out other things in your mix too that you might want to change or emphasize. Okay, bonus tip. Is this 5 or 6 or bonus? I don't know where we're at, but this is probably the most important one. You want to isolate each sound. Every sound you make needs its own space. There are a couple different practices to doing that. One of the things is pretty self-explanatory, and it's just panning. Let's say you have 2 similar sounding instruments in your mix, and they're butting heads. An easy fix for this, which isn't always the best, is panning one to the left and panning one to the right. Let's just see how that sounds together. It's not bad, but not great. I want them both to be more present in the mix. The easy way out of this is pulling the volume down on one and emphasizing the other, or panning left and right. But I want both of these sounds to have their own presence in the mix. And just panning or pulling volumes down isn't going to necessarily work for the feel I'm going for. So what you want to typically do to make these sounds play nice together is pull up both of their EQs and tweak them. Make sure they're not colliding too much. You'll actually see the frequency ranges that they're in. If they're both really present in the same hertz range, pull one down just in that hertz range. Hertz range? Is that a thing? Let me show you what I mean. So both these sounds are really present in this 500 range. So maybe what I want to do is take one and de-emphasize it in that range. While I'm here, I might as well tell you about Doing like a high pass filter just to kind of get rid of any of this mud down here. By pulling this sound down in this range, it lets this sound shine in the same range. Does that make sense? You can do this in the low ranges too, specifically when using basses and kicks that are clashing heads. Something like that would look like this. Here are my drums and the bass together. The drums are on the right, the bass is on the left. I want to clean up this low end a little bit. See, I want this kick to shine through a little bit more, so maybe I'll boost here around that 100 range and pull it down where the bass is. But you don't want to keep this all fat, like how fat this yellow part is here, because you're bringing them down way too much. You really want to isolate that. So that's not too bad there. I wouldn't finish up there. You really want to play some trial and error with this in actual practice. This is just for demonstration purposes. But you get the idea. You really want to play with those frequency ranges so that you get the most out of your mix. So that's it, guys. 5, 6, I don't know how many we did. A bunch of tips. Haunted. We can go on and on all day about different practices of mixing. Mixing practices are really subjective. It's not a one-size-fits-all type of thing. These tips might help you. They might not. Maybe you can help me. Comment down below. Maybe you can help me on some stuff I need to know. Okay, guys, that's all the time I got today. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.
Jimmy, make music.